Today we have with us Mr. Varghese Daniele, founder and CEO at Vren Solutions. He is an industry veteran with over 3 decades of profound technical expertise in the industry. He founded Vren Solutions nearly 3 decades ago, and the company is now a leading provider of project management information solutions for the engineering and construction industry. Thank you for joining us here today, sir. It's a pleasure to be talking to you. So, sir, today we are discussing the critical topic of zero tolerance to delay in mega projects and AI in EPC project management, right? And I'm sure your perspective will undoubtedly provide immense value to our viewers. But before we begin, I'd like to ask you, right? The engineering, procurement, and construction sector has traditionally been slow in adopting new technologies compared to other industries. So, at present, how prevalent would you say is the use of technology in the EPC sector?
Okay, see, engineering, procurement, and construction industry has been very site-centric, where people work on the site, and that is why technology adoption was very low. Now, thanks to COVID, we all had to work in a hybrid model where we had to stay at the office as much as possible and we only had to go to site when required. So that was basically a major enabler to bring in technology into this industry. So it rapidly scaled up after the COVID issue came in. And also worldwide, there was never a scenario where people had the option to work from home in the EPC industry. IT could work from home because this is something where you have different stakeholders have to sit together, discuss, and a lot of issues get sorted out when they actually sit down and meet with each other. So there was no way, like I was somebody who was on the flight for 15 days a month before COVID. And for 36 months, I never traveled after that, where everybody was happy seeing me online. And now the whole business model has changed. Earlier, every office, if we need business, we needed an office because they want to see you in flesh and blood to do business with you. And thanks to COVID, we have expanded to 40 countries where we only see people as email IDs. We have not even seen them on by face. And that is because people started accepting the idea that you could do a lot of things remotely and things can work. And also the major factor is the availability of the cloud and the SaaS model. This was never accepted. People would not want to put data on the internet. They would be scared that will this data be, is it safe? Now, we all know the banking sector has completely moved on to the cloud, and that is the most important thing in our world is our money. And if we can put that on the cloud, why not information like construction? So this change, that cloud, SaaS, and COVID, which drove collaboration digitally, and which is what is the reason why now you see a lot of change of adaptation of technology in the EPC projects.
That was a very profound insight that you shared, sir. Thank you so much. And you're right. I mean, the way COVID forced companies to sort of adopt digital transformation, no other sort of event did. And another thing that is, forcing companies to rethink the way their processes is AI, right? AI is the newest kid on the block. And if I had to ask you, how is AI redefining project execution in the EPC industry? Particularly in terms of ensuring that delays are minimized, especially in mega projects, right? And is there any example that you'd like to share here? We'd be happy to know.
So basically, AI, the greatest thing about AI is that everybody started using AI. When we started internet, nobody started using it immediately. So it took time. Whereas when ChatGPT came, I don't know if anybody is not using ChatGPT. So they started seeing that, oh my God, I can ask a question and get any answer. So which means you started experiencing AI. So then people said, why can't I use this in my industry? So that is which prompted every organization, every CEO to think and also mandate that we need to bring in AI in whatever walk of life we are, because this is helping me do my work more efficiently. So I need to bring in, there was a mandate saying that go find out what can AI do for you. Okay, so once that came in, every department head, every leader inside the organization, or the people from technology side started looking out what is that they can do with AI. Now, The challenge of AI is that if you look at in the internet, there is so much of information already available, and you can assimilate that information or infer that information based on what you need. But construction industry has been a very document centric, email centric. So which means there is not enough data there where you can simply tap in and use AI to make inferences. A lot of this data is in the minds of people. It's in the brains of people who executed this work. So you cannot go and say, okay, tell me a best solution of solving this problem. There may not be a solution because it might be lying deep inside some document or in some email or in some design which is lying there. How do we bring all this together? So the first thing that had to be done is convert all this to data. So we had to digitalize the way projects are done so that it makes meaningful sense. Because if data given to AI is wrong, it will hallucinate, it will give you nonsense. So you need to first organize the data systematically so that the data is connected, it is integrated. Then you can ask AI to help you give you some meaningful value. So what we did is we looked back and said, why do projects get delayed? Okay, so when you look at it, first thing is we know that we go with a schedule, we have a plan on how things are done. Now, things don't happen as per the plan. So projects get delayed because by the time you get to know it is delayed and you have to take a corrective action, there is a substantial delay in taking a corrective action, leave alone the preventive action. So that when the delay happens, it's too late because the delay has impacted your project. Okay. Second thing is, while the delay is happening in your project, you may not know the actual status because you're calling up people and say, what is the status? There is no digital data where you're not getting real-time data. And then if you ask somebody how much of work is over, they'll say, yeah, 50% is over. What is that 50%? Nobody knows. So you are not sure whether the status and the information that you get is accurate. So first is to make sure that you have the correct information and it is real time. Okay. So first was to focus on that. Like I'm sure we all know about cricket. In cricket, the most important information is your current run rate. Only then you can plan your required run rate. If your current run rate is wrong, your required run rate will be wrong. So same way to get the correct run rate is to get to know the exact status and also to get the exact progress is very important. So putting in a system to have that information is first. Then you can ask AI, how do I catch up? Then the AI can give you insights on, based on your current trend, this will land up so many days. If you speed up this work, you can get. So it can give you directions on how to catch up. Okay. So the AI can be immediately used on a project, provided you put a system which will integrate all the data, digitalize all this data, give the data to AI. AI can give you relevant answers. So that is the first step that we have identified, that how AI can help the business. Then, again, we can go further, which means second thing is it is not only the schedule of a project which causes delay. There can be some specific things like some approval from a client does not come, or some data required is not reached. Some specific things, if it don't happen immediately, however you plan, things will get delayed. So what we have done is we have put a watchtower on top of it of watching all these specific things. So we know in a typical type of project, if I'm doing an oil and gas project or a renewable project, I know what are the things which can impact the schedule of the project. Could be a land acquisition has not happened, or some sign off has not come. That is enough. You might be running very fast, suddenly you realize. So predicting the future is the biggest problem. In future, something can go wrong. If I can watch it, and if that changed, if AI can tell me quickly that this has not happened, this will impact your project. So that can prevent your delay. And the last possible option is, today we are all going through climate change. We are all having there are lots of geopolitical problems, the Trump factor, and you know that all these are things which are unpredictable. So if you have a mechanism by which you can ask AI through, we call it as NLP, natural language processing, saying that okay, if this material is going to get delayed by so many days, which has not happened, which is going can happen. If I can ask a question and AI can tell me due to that how it will impact the project and how can I catch up, then I can think about taking corrective actions early. So the key to the success of successful delivery of a project is to bring in predictability and taking proactive actions based on that prediction. So AI can substantially help you because it gives you insights, it can give you trends and say you based on this trend, this is what happens. So we have set up AI into our project monitoring system so that it's like a watchtower, watching everything, telling you early to take necessary action and also taking preventive action so that the project never skips.
It was a really great insight into what causes these delays. To be honest, I mean, if I had to speak from a customer front, right, we always hear about these large real estate conglomerates who are saying that pay so much money and this flat is yours in 2027 or so, and it always gets delayed. This leads to a lot of reputational damage to the real estate conglomerate as well as customers. It's a breach of customer trust, to be honest. So it's great to know how AI can proactively address these issues. And you mentioned some of the reasons for why these projects are delayed. And while we are talking about these delays, another important aspect is the collaboration between the diverse stakeholders in the mega projects. So how is the industry using digital solutions and AI to enhance transparency and improve communication and align all the stakeholders to ensure timely project delivery?
So one of the things that has happened, which is over the last couple of years, is that there has been an adoption of BIM, okay, Building Information Management. So that makes a centralized platform for all the stakeholders to know about so instead of I giving you a drawing and you're not able to visualize it, you're seeing it on a 3D model. So you're all on the same page, okay? So first is to use a common data environment so that everybody is on the same page in terms of information. Okay. Second is you have a dashboard which shows you the status, which is a actual status. So today I don't send you an Excel report. I see it online. What is the status of everything? So by using BIM, I see the product which is my building or a flat or a refinery or a metro in its 3D model in its shape, and then as work happens, I update the model and show you this was my plan, this is the actual. So even a common man can visualize and understand that this is a status. And if there is a delay, it will tell you this was planned, but this is in red color, this was planned, not done. So I'm understanding. I don't have to read through a report to understand. Why is it delayed? I can drill down. So it brings transparency so that everybody is on the same page, so that everybody works together collaboratively to bring the project back on track. Second is all these dashboards that you have today, thanks to the Power BI and all these different types of dashboards, can tell you the status and also tell you why that is delayed. So you get to know the details so today's project companies have adopted BIM. So BIM is something in the infrastructure sector. 20 years back, the same thing was done on process plans. It was all done in 3D because you can probably see the complexity of a petrochemical plant. It's so complex and it's so much, you cannot visualize it on a 2D model. So which is why 20 years back 3D models were very popular in the plant design and in the process industry. Only lately even in the building industry and the infrastructure industry this has come. So this adoption has brought everybody on the same page. And then what do you do? The status information is updated on the model. So we call it from 3D, you call it 4D. So you know exactly, this was planned, this is actual, so I'm able to visualize. So this brings that collaboration very seamless, totally digital. And today, this is all available even on a mobile, where I can access the information, I can see where it is. I don't need to have a complicated system because everything is driven from a cloud. In the cloud, I have very high processing capability. So on a simple tool, on a tablet, I can be real time with the project. So that is a major change that has taken place in terms of bringing everybody on the same page. And then drawings are not printed and sent. It's all online. You can come in, you can review a model, you can do a walkthrough, you can do everything because you have access to the same design model which was generated by the designer to an end user, so that you're using the same. So that is what we call it as common data environment. Like for one of the largest projects, which is the Rapid Rail project, we call it as NCRTC recently, which was launched between Meerut to Delhi. The whole design was done in 3D, and all the information was exchanged digitally. So what happened is they could complete the project 3 months ahead of time, because everybody knows what's going on. There is no hide and seek. It's absolutely transparent. So one of the very successful projects where BIM was used, monitoring was done completely digitally, and the success factor was they could complete the project ahead of time. So that was a big success story where we were the providers of the common data environment, and NCRTC and us worked very closely to make that a success.
So you've mentioned earlier that predictive analytics and the predictability aspect is the only way to ensure that projects don't get delayed, right? And you also mentioned the common data platform and 3D and things like that. So all this sounds very promising, but I'd like to ask you, what is the current state of adoption? I mean, how is the EPC industry actually adopting these tools to enhance their processes and decision making? And are there any limitations that are preventing the companies from achieving their full potential?
Say it is only the will. Okay, so I would say earlier days, when I am the owner of a project, like for example, a company like Tata's or any or a Jindal, or I'm setting up a plant. What I do is I give a contract to a contractor, and I expect the contractor to do the job in a certain time and at a certain cost. It's a lump sum contract. So I just push him to do that. Now those days are gone, because if the contractor fails, the owner is failed. You will land up spending more money. You will go into arbitration. Nobody wants to waste the time. So now the trend is the owner wants to have a system to monitor the contractor, so that between them they agree, saying that, okay, this is how you'll do it, because he's the one who's doing all the job. The owner is making sure that his scope is delivered, which means the contract is executed as per his terms, with the deliverables that he, with that quality. So at every step, he wants to be involved with the contractor, so they work collaboratively. So if they don't have the capability, they bring in a PMC or a consultant to help them, to augment their team. So ultimately, the owner has to run the plant, which means ultimately when the project is completed, they take it up and they run it. Even if you're doing building a building or a multi-storied building, I have to finally own the asset and run it. So I need to know everything. So you cannot be disconnected and say, let him do the job and I'll pay him so much money, and then at the end of it, I'm not happy, I go and fight. And nobody wants to waste the time anymore. Now with this collaboration platform coming in, we are seeing a trend where more and more owners want to have the system, or want to make the contractor work on a system and he's part of it, so that he can work hand in glove with the EPC contractor. So the adoption has massively changed. And as I said, they are not interested in doing post-market. They want to be proactive. They want to be predictive. They're saying, okay, this didn't happen. Let's work together. How do we salvage this? You want to, you had asked, initially planned to, send it, bring it by a ship. Now, because of this problem, there is a cost. How much of cost will it be? He is willing to pay to airlift it, so that the project is not delayed. So if those decisions are not done collaboratively, the EPC contractor can say, what can I do? There was a problem here because of war, because of this reason. I didn't get the equipment, so my project has got delayed. So then the owner can keep blaming him for what's the use. So now that relationship between the owner and the contractor has become really, collaborative, and they see them as partners. So they want to make sure that they work together and make this successful. Okay, so that is the biggest driver, and that is only possible if you have digital stuff. And what is more important is, if you want to be proactive, if you want to be predictive, if you can add in the AI element there, it can really help you, because instead of human thinking through the insights and all that, the AI can guide you, saying that this can go wrong, so take a corrective action. What is that? Over a period of time, when the corrective actions are taken, this goes into a knowledge base. And it can pick up from the knowledge and say, this is how we salvaged it last time. Why don't you try this? So the organizational knowledge gets developed, and this knowledge can be reused, and the owner who is able to guide the contractor in case if he makes a wrong move, so that eventually he is the one who benefits from this. So this change that we are seeing, where owners taking up the responsibility of driving the project with the EPC contractors and executing it, becomes a very healthy way of doing it, so that projects won't fail. And there will be no arbitration, because everything is done in a collaborative way.
Now that we've discussed, all of this, I mean, to be very honest, to me as a listener of, your views, it feels like, an industry that appears so rugged and manual like the EPC sector. It's amazing that it can be transformed with the help of, modern technologies to ensure timely delivery, right? But the nature of the EPC sector is such that the kind of projects that are taking place are so diverse in scale, and there are complex projects as well. And one size fits all approach does not work over here. So how is the sector standardizing AI driven solutions to ensure they are scalable and adaptable to projects of varying sizes and scopes?
Very, very good question. See, the challenge is ultimately a project is broken down into what is the different types of construction you need to do. As far as you are concerned, when you're looking at your house, you will only see how much has been constructed. You don't care whether drawing has come, material has come, all that is none of your business, right? So what they have done is, there is a new thought process which has been around in the global world, especially in the US and Europe. They have adopted a mechanism called, advanced work packaging model, where you plan for construction. So what you do is you break down your project into different construction pieces. They call it as construction work packages. Now, any project, you can break it down that way. Then for that construction, which means you break it down into smaller pieces, and for that construction, you create a sequence. After this is over, this will happen. So which means after excavation is over, I will do by, substructure, then superstructure, like that. Like that, I will make each and every different elements of construction and sequence the plan. Then I will look at what do I need to do for the construction. I need these drawings, I need this material, I need this labor, I need this equipment. I plan for that. Or if any of these things are affected, which means the material has not come, I'll reforecast my construction and I use that resources for something else. So when you break down a project in that manner and make sure that you're aligning all the inputs required for construction is coming together on time, every project is the same. So you have to change the way you start thinking. Instead of breaking down the project, saying that I'll do all these drawings, then I'll do this material. That is a sequence of activity that you do, and then you are in the mind sequencing what is required for construction. Instead of that, you break it down to construction packages. Then you sequence your activity based on the construction and drive those packages. So you are handling smaller entities, which are much easier than looking at the whole project. And if any of these things are affected, you can see what is the impact on the project. So this way, imagine how complex the project is. It was made very easy and simple for people to manage. And whenever there is a crisis, you can reprioritize the work so that work is not stuck. So ultimately, the objective of this construction-based planning, we call it as construction work, or advanced work package-based model, is that people don't wait for work, and work doesn't wait for people. People on the site are continuously engaged. Equipments are continuously. So you are most productive because you're continuously utilizing the people. The people are not in the waiting mode anymore. So engaging construction work packaging, engaging. So again, what is the role of BIM is? BIM is not just for modeling only. You can do your walkthroughs. You can say, okay, which all things I can do simultaneously. Can I do 4 different blocks separately? I can do the boundary walls. All these are different packages. And I start sequencing them, and that is how I manage the work.
Thank you so much for taking time out and talk to us, right? I mean, during the course of this conversation, it wasn't even feeling like we're talking about the EPC sector. It sounded so, technologically savvy, to be very honest. And, we usually talk about, enterprises talking this way about workflows. But it was great to know that even the EPC sector can be transformed, in this manner so to ensure timely delivery, and, the processes can be transformed. Thank you so much for taking time for us.
Thank you. Nice talking to you too. Thank you.